The other three units that made the cut were the Packers, Browns, and Bills. Green Bay and Buffalo have MVP contenders in Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen, while Baker Mayfield leads a balanced Cleveland attack. LeVar, do you agree with all these teams making Tier 1?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's not one team here. If you look at the Browns, they might be the ones that you say, are they really? But when you look at their offensive front and you look at their backfield, they just gave Chubb his new contract, so he's probably happy and rearing and ready to go. Baker Mayfield, I continue to say, the confidence that Baker Mayfield took away from that playoff run last year, I saw a different Baker Mayfield going into the last part of the season and into the playoffs. I think that's going to make a tremendous difference in this team coming up this season. I think the familiarity that they have and the amount of players, the amount of talent that they have, I think that this is going to be a pretty efficient offensive team. And then we know that the Bills have improved. We know that the Packers are going to be explosive. The Bucs, those are not even in question. The question would be, are they missing out on any teams that you would believe would be in on that card? As of right now, I think it's justified, the list that you have, and those that could possibly, because some could possibly say a few different teams. I won't say them because I don't want to go into it, but there could be a few possible teams you could throw out there, but it's still kind of a remains to be seen type of approach for me on some of the guys that didn't make the list.
Yeah, based on the love song you sang to the Cowboys offense yesterday, I thought you were Dallas in there, LeVar.
Well, they could be, but personnel-wise, they could be on there. They could. I'm not Tier 1, but possibly.
Well, they're right. I wouldn't put them up there. What I'm with you. Obviously, the other four, there's no doubt. Cleveland is the question mark. We haven't seen them do it. They're the one team in this tier that doesn't have a Tier 1 quarterback. Right? Baker was different with OBJ. I think he'll be able to play well with OBJ this year.
He will now.
But that offense only averaged 25 points a game last year. That was middle of the pack. That offense only scored 10 points against Houston. And they had several other 22 points against Philadelphia. They had several other games where they didn't, 16 points against the New York Jets. And this was late in the season when they were clicking. All right, so while I like Cleveland, they're my pick in that division slightly over Baltimore. But I would like to exchange them in this tier for Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee put up 30 points a game last year. Tennessee has a running back who can equal what Cleveland does. I know Cleveland's got Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but the best running back in the league is Derrick Henry. And unless he falls off, I know he's been hit a lot lately, unless he falls off, that they're going to be powerful and punishing folk. And then you add Julio Jones with A.J. Brown. So my receiving core in Tennessee is as good as Cleveland's, at least. And then my quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, doesn't really make mistakes. He's had 4,000-yard-plus seasons in Miami. So my quarterback's as good as Baker Mayfield, at least. And so I got to put, and Tennessee's done it and added a Hall of Famer, Julio Jones. So I'm going to switch Cleveland and Tennessee. While I like Cleveland, I'm putting the Titans right there instead of the Browns.
I had not considered the Titans. That's not bad, Broussard. I have no issues with the 5 that are in, but I'm just going to point out Josh Allen. I'm not saying he's a one-year wonder, but this is a guy who had 59% completions, and then he jacks up to 70, okay? This is an unbelievable rise in 1 year, okay? Before this year, Josh Allen's not getting the Bills in the top tier. And as you guys said, Cleveland, 1 year, let's see if they can do it again. I would keep them in there, but I would also add Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, you talk about receiving groups. Hello, Lockett and Metcalf are as good as it gets. I know the running game is spotty, but you've got Russell Wilson, one of the great quarterbacks in the league. I think the Dallas Cowboys, we talked about the second best receiving group in the league. All things being equal, offensive line healthy, Zeke healthy, receivers healthy, Dallas has to be Tier 1. And the last one that I'm going to put in, and this actually hurt me that they weren't in here, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, a historic 2019, right? I mean, 14-2, Lamar wins the MVP. and they slide back just a little bit. Hello, their left tackle, one of the best in football, missed half the season. And we're keeping the Ravens
we're not
out of the top tier? Wait, look, don't tell me you have an issue with that.
But top tier, like.
Top tier.
We're not saying that you're a bad offense. We're not saying that it's a bad offense.
They were the #1 offense in the league in 2019 by a mile. And in 2020, they slipped back a little bit. Again, the left tackle was out. They had to play musical chairs on the line. I don't see how they're not at least one of the top 7 offenses in the league.
I kind of put Tennessee's offense in the same category as Baltimore's. It's a tier 2.
So you think Ryan Tannehill is on par with Lamar Jackson?
I believe their offense as a whole is on par. It doesn't translate in the playoffs. Well, that's as you heard me say, it remains to be seen. Can they be better with Julio Jones? Julio Jones isn't in Atlanta for a reason, bro. Yeah. Like, just is what it is. Let's call a fact a fact. I don't know what he has left.
Don't you like A.J. Brown?
I do like A.J. Brown.
Don't you like A.J.
But
so
what I
both of them
don't,
together,
but what I will say is, just much like how Baltimore is, what I don't like is if you shut down one aspect of their game, they become a very one-dimensional team, and it has not translated deeper, like in getting late into the season, into the playoffs. It hasn't translated. So to me, when I think about what translated, the Cleveland Browns, if their offense didn't translate in the playoffs the way that it did this past season, then they certainly shouldn't be on this list, okay? Because the other guys did. The Chiefs translated. Bucs, Packers, the Bills even kind of came up short in the playoffs. But it still shows, they show a ceiling that you can look at and you can get behind what the Bills are doing. And I think the same thing exists with the Browns. So this isn't about saying that the Tennessee Titans or the Ravens aren't really good offenses that could be tier 1 caliber offenses. They've shown they could be tier 1 caliber offenses. Question is can they show that they are a little bit better than what they were? They got to show a little bit more than what they've shown in the last 2 seasons in order to be considered a tier 1, especially with the group that is in the tier 1.
So they need to prove more than the last 2, but Cleveland basically had 1 season and Buffalo had 1 season. I don't get that.
Who went further in the playoffs?
Russell Wilson's gone further in the playoffs than all those guys.
Well, that's fair enough. That's fair, but
I don't
know that we rest. I don't know that we rest the success of the Seattle Seahawks solely on the Seattle Seahawks offense. I mean, let's be real here. There's a little bit of balance.
They averaged 34 points a game in the first half of the season. And then, obviously the coach pulls the ball out of Russ's hands. They decide to run the football, and they got their teeth kicked in.
I thought it was the opposite, but, man, it is what it is. I thought it was the opposite.
Yesterday, you were destroying Baltimore's offense in the playoffs.
I was absolutely not destroying them. I stated a bunch of facts that in the postseason, they had some struggles. That is a fact. It's not an opinion. It is an inarguable fact.
That's the clean version. You took out the explicit lyrics.
It's funny. My brother lives outside Baltimore, and he got a bunch of texts from friends. Hey, what did your brother say about the Ravens? He got a bunch of season ticket holders. I did not destroy the Ravens. I, by the way, like them to potentially win the Super Bowl this year.
The fans agree with me.
Oh, here we go.
I forgot. You and Broussard had the tier 1 Cleveland Browns winning the division.
Oh, okay. Man.
Here's what I'm saying, though. Look, J-Mac, you got to admit this. I can't put Baltimore on tier 1 until I see more from their passing game. And, yeah, you can go back to 2019. That was 2 years ago. Lamar threw 10 fewer touchdowns last year and 3 more interceptions. So, and look, I love him and their running game. But to be tier 1, you've got to have some semblance of a very good passing game. And he might do it this year, but until he does, I don't think you can put him on tier 1.
They have a great rookie by the name of Jason Oweh on the defense side of the ball. Watch the defensive side of the ball, this Ravens team. They should be really good, and it could give the offensive side that little extra boost that, well, Ravens teams have always done, that little extra boost of assistance to the offense to get them to the next step. But so far, you can't say tier 1 elite offense if they can't get past a certain point once they make it to the playoffs. And that's Tennessee and that's Baltimore right now.
Tennessee in the conference championship.
So
2
you're
years
saying
ago.
they could be the
Is
2000
Aaron
Ravens.
Rodgers heading into his final season as a Packer?
That is true.
Details on that next.
No,